because of my background and because of that introduction from Nancy, you might be expecting a typical Irish greeting, maybe like 100,000 welcomes or even top of the morning. But you know, if you were back in Ireland today at an event like this, and those of you are probably aware that Ireland actually is a very dynamic and thriving software and IT culture. If you were back in Ireland at an event like this, because Ireland now has such a cosmopolitan and a multicultural society, it's quite likely that your speaker, instead of saying something like, for instance, top of the morning to you, is just as likely to come out with something like, what's up? So what's up, Quest? The what's up is we're actually going to have some crack here today. Huh? Oh, I forgot where I was. If you're in Ireland or if you've been to Ireland, you will often hear people say, how's the crack? Or where's the crack? And in Ireland, crack actually means fun or having a party. And I suppose here in the States, for some people, crack means fun and having a party as well. But actually, I did a limerick about crack and what it actually means, and to educate people on it. And it goes something like, she said we'd have some crack to the cop who was taken aback. But she meant they'd have fun, so they danced in the sun, had a pint and a beer and a snack. So we're going to have some crack here, but we're also going to have some good ideas and lessons to help you improve people, improve your performance, and improve your productivity. And if you're all leaving here, my objective is you leave here with a smile on the face, a spring in the step, and some really good ideas to be better at the workplace. Then we're all going to have a win-win. What more do we want than that? So what I want to speak about is a concept called the gift of gab. And you may know that the Irish are famous for the gift of gab, which some people say is our ability to spew out voluminous torrents of words without pausing for breath. Others suggest it's our ability to paint evocative word pictures that has the listener crying sorrowful tears into their pint of Guinness, while in the background someone is singing Danny Boy, and of course out of tune. And others say the Irish are good at the gift of gab because we're good at BS. But as I come from a marketing background, and BS to me means breakthrough strategy, I'm okay with that. But the gift of gab that I want to speak to you about today that will help you in your workplace and in your work environment is GAB as an acronym for goals, attitude, behavior. Goals, attitude, behavior. And if you adopt and adapt this concept and this framework of goals, attitudes, behavior, it will help you to create a truly top-of-the-morning work experience. It will improve your productivity, it will improve your performance, and it's ultimately going to improve job satisfaction as well. So are we ready to rock? Are we ready to roll? All right, bless my soul. Okay, goals, attitudes, and behavior. All right. Now, research that I have done on successful businesses and successful organizations convinces me that one of the reasons why these companies, businesses, and organizations are successful is because they have a clear goal and a clear vision as to what success looks like. A clear goal and a clear vision as to what success looks like. Now, as an Irishman, it might not surprise anyone here to know that I am actually a very keen consumer of a famous black drink, right? There are a few things in life that give me greater pleasure than going to my local establishment, ordering my favorite beverage, waiting patiently for that drink to be poured, and then, before I take my first satisfying sip, as you've got music and as you've got chatter filling the background, and as I watch this creamy head settle over this black drink, I'm getting thirsty here, can I tell you, all right? I often ponder and wonder why this drink has become so world famous. And as I'm sure each of you here will appreciate, I am, of course, speaking about Starbucks coffee. What else could I be speaking about? No, I want to reference Starbucks for a few minutes for a particular reason. And you're probably aware that Starbucks, who are actually at the forefront of everything to do with IT and consumer technology in general, Starbucks, the driving force behind Starbucks is Howard Schultz. And it's not too long ago that Howard Schultz came to Chicago to open the first Starbucks unit outside of the Seattle area. Howard Schultz was walking the streets of Chicago with a business colleague of his, and he extolled what I would call as a clear goal and a clear vision when he was walking the streets of Chicago. And Howard Schultz said to that business colleague, he said, in 5 years' time, everyone in this street will be walking around with a Starbucks cup in their hand. In 5 years' time, everyone in this street will be walking around with a Starbucks cup in their hand. Now, Howard Schultz had that clear goal and that clear vision just about 25 years ago, at a time when hardly anyone in the Chicagoland area was aware of Starbucks, at a time when cash was so tight he was not actually taking a salary out of the business. But what Howard Schultz did have, though, was a clear goal and a clear vision as to what success would look like. He could see it, he could visualize it, he could imagine it. And it was that clear visualization, that clear imagination that energized him, got him out of bed every morning, and helped him to build Starbucks to the amazing business that it is today. Does anyone here in this room have any idea how many Starbucks units there are globally? Anyone want to guess? Any guesses? Quiet audience, okay. Right. If you were to guess 23,950, you'd be very close. All right, about 24,000 Starbucks units globally. And indeed, the Starbucks has now become so ubiquitous that the Onion newspaper, Onion website, ran a headline some time ago that said, next Starbucks unit to open in restroom of Starbucks unit. All right? That's how ubiquitous Starbucks has become. But it's become ubiquitous, though, because Howard Schultz had a clear goal and a clear vision as to what success would look like. He could see it, he could visualize it, he could imagine it. And in the business that you are in, it is surely imperative for you to have a clear goal and a clear vision as to what success looks like. And one of the questions I often put to organizations and to people is, do you have a clear goal and a clear vision as to what success looks like for you? Can you visualize if in 2 years' time you are Employee of the Year or you get nominated by one of the industry publications? What does that actually mean for you? What does success mean for you? Now, when I say, do you have a clear goal and a clear vision that's of what success looks like, that is a very difficult question for people to get their heads around. But I am going to ask you one question, and I'd ask you to write it down, please, because I want you to think about it. If you write down this question. And then we'll give you 1 minute to actually think about it. Because if you get this clear in your mind, it can make a real difference to how you impact your team and your organization. The question I would like you to write down, and then I'll give you a minute to think about it. If you were to write down the question, what do I want to be famous for? What do I want to be famous for? And by that I mean that if in 2 years' time some new employee or some new CIO comes into the organization and you're introduced to that new CIO, what is it that the person who's introducing you will say about you? What is it they will say that this person does particularly well? What is it they say that Becky is famous for? Right? So the question is, what do I want to be famous for? If you're getting awarded by an industry publication, what is the headline they're going to write down about you? And that is, I think, if you can have a clear idea of what do I want to be famous for, you have a much better chance of going and striving for that. You have a much better chance of achieving it. So what I'll do here is I'll just give you 1 minute to think about what do I want to be famous for. I'm not going to ask you what it is, but once you've written it down, I call that a macro goal. A clear goal and vision, the macro goal. I will then give you 5 simple micro goals that will help you to achieve what you have written down, even though I won't know what you've written down. 5 micro goals that will help you to become a better team worker and improve productivity within your scrum and within your team as well. So what do I want to be famous for? I'll give you 1 minute to write it down. I'm not going to ask you what it is you've written down, so don't feel compelled to answer that.